in 2 earthquakes, missed the big one, had
Right.
just got on the plane, and it happened about 4 hours later.
Right.
And
Well, I've
it's
been
just
through them,
something all
and
the
it's
time.
something that I think about.
It's just something all the You rolling?
Okay.
Okay. What is that noise?
The air conditioner just came back on. You want
Oh,
to kill
okay.
it? It's right there. Just hit the red one until it pops up the temperature, and it should turn. There you go.
Okay.
Did you do it a couple of degrees up?
I did
'Cause-
like maybe 72. Just put it up.
Take it up 74, 75. There you go. Now it's back on.
Ah.
Just, you know what? Click on the bottom. There's a black button. Switch it. There you go.
There.
There we go.
You've stayed here before.
Well, I'm upstairs. I've got it all figured out. I know how to work them all.
Okay, are we rolling? Okay. Rex Smith, welcome back to Dallas.
It's nice to be back. It's been too long, even though it's only been, maybe
Last summer.
maybe 11 months, yeah. So my son had his first birthday here, and he's going to have his second birthday here at the same time. So Gatsby is going to turn 2 while we're here. So.
Gatsby?
Mm-hmm. So.
After the famous?
Well, that was just the great Gatsby. This is the greatest Gatsby.
Oh. Okay.
Actually, which the president came to the show. We were in Washington last week, and the president came last Sunday to the matinee. And I told him, it was actually ended up in the paper about his visit, and I said, my son Gatsby, he really did a triple take on that. He went, Gatsby? He said, the greatest Gatsby, right? And I said, yes. So it was, you know how the newspaper does bold print when they write an article. It had President Bush, Gatsby, and Gatsby was running around with his little play airplanes. Meow. The next morning I said, Gatsby, the president's talking about you in the Washington Post. So Gatsby's already elbowing with presidents.
He's kind of edging his daddy aside for the press coverage. Well, we'll put a stop to that for the moment anyway. Kiss Me Kate, of course, just took so many awards for this revival in 1999. Mm-hmm. But in 1948, it also was hugely successful. How has this revival changed from the original?
Well, I'm not as familiar with the original because the way theater is, it's never really recorded. I mean, I can't go to a video of it to study it. I do know that our director, Michael Blakemore, who is 73, who also made Broadway history for the Tony for Best Direction of a Musical and of a Play on the same year, Copenhagen and Kiss Me Kate. So, marvelous director. He saw the original. His sensibilities are such that he's able to incorporate. It's much like when I did Pirates Penzance. We took a 100-year-old show, Gilbert and Sullivan, and we threw out the doily cart direction, and we treated it like someone had just written it yesterday. In a great many ways, we're absolutely true to 1948 in the period and the time. I don't think we've changed. All we've done is, it's very much like a Howard Hawks film almost. He's directed this almost like His Girl Friday, that sort of thing. It's in the classic genre of that era. But the comedy is such that, I don't think comedy got better. I think it was really well honed in that period. I think comedy has become a lot of below the belt, drop your trousers kind of comedy now. That this thing is more along the, you have the Marx Brothers, you have the W.C. Fields, all the classics. You have the classic foundations of just comedy that will work eternally. It's always going to work. It's not dependent on what is contemporary today. It never goes out of style.
Has anything, has anything changed about the music? In other words, have any Cole Porter songs been added or deleted?
There's one song from this moment on, I believe, that the General sings in the show is from another show. The other songs are really amazingly true to form, just have been wonderfully Too Darn Hot, I believe, has they've explored every nuance they could. The wonderful Paul Gimignani, who is the conductor and musical director of the show, has also received the Lifetime Achievement Award, a Tony, the first year they've ever done that this year. So the production team behind this thing is top drawer, first class, with more combined experience than about any other production team running, on Broadway. So I think they've explored. It's wonderful, the nuances and to really live in 1948, to be able to leave 2001. I spent about half the time here. It's like a time machine when I step into that show. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's a real attractive element that keeps me coming back to theater. I campaigned for this part. You read about actors, or I do, always read about an actor saying, oh, I campaigned for the part. And I've always thought, maybe that's a bit of hokum, a bit of PR spin. But I really did. Michael Jenkins, who runs the theater here, and is a very large, very high up on the totem pole in tours and such too. He was one of my, he made the mistake of saying to me, if there's ever anything you want to talk about, a show you're interested in and stuff, give me a call. Well, I used that, I picked up the phone and I shamelessly called him amongst others, saying, I really want to play this part. So I'm really happy to be here. This was like a bit of the brass ring for me to get this. Another interesting aspect is I played, in Pirates, Penzance, I played young Frederick. And here I am playing Frederick C. Graham, so it's nice bookends. I'm playing Frederick again, the grown-up Frederick, after the young Frederick. So.
That's great. If you were married to a woman like Kate, as volatile as she is, what would you do?
What would I do? I think, there's a great history between Rachel and I, because we performed together and opened a show in New York 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, called The Scarlet Pimpernel, where we played ex-lovers in the French Revolution. That gave us a history of making it through an opening night for the New York Times, and a successful one, happy to report, but also, and the battling between as lovers on stage. There's a nice history behind us to incorporate into these characters. As far as, I think I'd be pretty true to form to Frederick Z. Graham. I think I don't think it's politically incorrect. I think these two are an even match for each other. So I really think it's not a matter of correctness between the genders. I think it's really the gloves come off on these two, and they're going at it black eye for black eye. But in the end, it's really, it doesn't matter if you got to get a few cuts and bruises along the way to really find in your heart.
Has either of you ever been hurt accidentally by the body contact?
Well, we just finished 16 shows in a row, and I noticed when you're doing something like that, you're working so hard, you don't have time to feel the bruises and the aches and pains, really, because you're always doing another show. But I've had 2 days off, and I started feeling my finger here, and I don't know if it's from the spanking or if it's from a handshake in another part of the show, but there's little things. We are getting less and less now, but during the rehearsal process and putting the show on its feet, between the fights and stuff, we did get a remarkable amount of bruises around here and there, bumping into sets and props, and we had to really work out a method of, I get slapped 3 times per show, so that's 24 times a week. And that's, you multiply that by about 500 shows. I'm not sure what that is, but we're in a lot of slaps, a world of slaps. And so we've had to work it out, because early on, with the blood is up and the adrenaline and the excitement of first getting a show on the board, I was either going to have to get some denture work or something, because the teeth were starting to loosen up a bit.
It's not like the movies where you duck and they add the sound
Exactly.
later.
No, that's the one thing. It's a beautiful thing for the audience, and it's an exciting thing for the actors too. It's an aspect that I love, that there is no editing room in theater. It begins, and I think really in today's world of so many computer-generated this and everything, you go to a movie, the actors are almost inconsequential to the giant dinosaur that's coming, but the movies are showing too, the audiences are falling off on that. How long can you watch a talking cat and be amused by it? We're humans. We want to see the human story played out, and theater is becoming more and more the last place you can go to witness that, to sit next to other people live and see other people live perform for you in a performance that has gone back to Greeks, as far as ancient history, and it will. I truly believe this, that there will be in this next 50-year period a renaissance of live theater and such, because there's only so much interaction you can get with a computer and a 50-inch TV screen. People are going to feel isolated after a while, and there is a burning flame of the human spirit that cannot be extinguished, I believe. And I think theater is one of those flames.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Really?
I couldn't agree with you more. Let me just take a quick look here.
I know I tend to go on for 20 minutes on everything. I don't give you a 5-second answer, and I should spin it out, I guess.
Okay. Okay. All right, let me just toss this one out.
Okay.
You created the role of Danny Zuko in Broadway's Grease.
Right.
Were you at all considered for the movie?
You know, there was something that was going on simultaneously as that. When I was playing Danny Zuko, I had a movie in the can, a TV movie called Sooner or Later with a song called You Take My Breath Away that became a thing, made me a teen idol, which is, I'm going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame actually this year in the spring. They're doing a teen idol wing, which I'm going in with Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, the Beatles and such. They're putting some of my Broadway memorabilia in there as a teen idol who moved into theater sort of thing. So while I was performing as Danny Zuko, this album came out, and then I was plucked out of Greece and went around the world as a teen idol. So when Travolta was doing that movie, I was around the world already, getting my, you know, it was like in sync, but I was by myself. You know, it was like the Beatles, but I didn't have John and George and Paul with me. I was just, you know, on my own, sort of. So I had my own world kind of, either you could call it collapsing or expanding at that moment.
But how great that you're going to be in this Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think the great aspect of it is it's nice to be honored in that way, and also to be in the midst of really full stride of my career too. That it's not like so often that someone's retired and that sort of thing happens. I'm very much in the batter's box and still swinging away.
That's great. Okay. All right. Now, if you'll just stay
Yeah, you want
there.
to do some
Yeah,
reverse?
we have to do. Have any of the Cole Porter songs been deleted, or have they added any from the original production?
Actually, we've gotten rid of all the Cole Porter songs. We've replaced them with Puffy Combs rap songs. So it's we're assured to have. We're hiring 500 extra police though for the rioting crowds. That would be so angry and want their money back. I'm sorry. I won't answer you like that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. The two characters you and Rachel York play have a lot of body contact. I mean, you're really duking it out. Has anybody been hurt during this time?
Well, I don't know about hurt. It's true though that we are physically we're pushing the limit as far as you go. We're like a couple of boxers in terms of it's just heart and lungs out there a great many times. It really is. I drink a quart of Gatorade and a gallon of water each show. It's not. That's true. That's how much I go through. I'm wearing 60 pounds, 40-something pounds of leather and wool.
Wow.
And I look like the NBA.
Okay.
Feels like it too.
It's not like the movies where you conduct and then they add the sound later.
Exactly. Nothing at all like that. That smack you hear is the real deal. That's flesh on flesh happening.
Let's see. I'm trying to think how. Okay. You created the role of Danny Zuko on Broadway. And then the movie came along. Were you at all considered for that?
Interesting question. It was really, I really was sick of playing Danny Zuko after that. No, actually, I played Danny Zuko again 16 years later than the revival of it. So that was kind of nuts.
Okay. All right. And then that'll get us into that Hall of Fame thing, because I want to bring that in.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that'll do it.
Okay, great.